Paul. Yes, I'm so sorry. Let me not talk politics, but we have a situation where our supply company, which used to be the number one in Africa, is today hardly holding its own. So we have continuous power cuts. I was hoping that ours today would start in another hour, which it did the past week. Unfortunately, it started an hour early. That just means I can't use my PowerPoint. I spent quite a bit of time preparing a PowerPoint because I've learned over the years that, you know, when you just listen to a talk, well, if you take notes, it helps. But if you just listen, uh, it's difficult to catch everything. But if you listen and you can see at the same time, it just makes learning so much easier. So I discussed with Paul that perhaps at a later stage, when we have power again, so that I can use my laptop and my PowerPoint. Currently, I'm just using my cell phone. That I can record the session, and then it can be made available. And what I've also learned over the years is that, and we've always had in the olden days tapes, later on CDs. Today we have YouTube. It is so valuable to listen to something more than once, because every time you listen again, you hear something that you never heard the first time, or something makes sense that perhaps hadn't made sense to you before. So we'll do our best to get you the complete session with the visuals as well. So for now, you'll just have to bear with me as the visual and listen to me. As you saw in Paul's advertising of the event, that we're going to talk about brands and branding, because that is very important to any business. The brand, the image that that business builds up over the years, because that image carries the business even through times when it's not so good. I take Mercedes-Benz as an example. The image of Mercedes is as a very reliable uh, type of cars, a car that people aspire to. You know, that's the image of a Mercedes. Some years ago, and that's not my knowledge, I read quite a lot of motoring magazines. There was a time when the quality of Mercedes was really not up to scratch. But because of the brand loyalty it has created over the years, I'm sure that there are people who in that time, excuse me, would still have opted for a Mercedes rather than another brand. Why? Because of the brand loyalty that's developed. So a brand identifies a company, it expresses the values of a company. In a sense, it differentiates a company from others. Like if you take German cars compared to Chinese cars, in my own mind, I would never buy a Chinese car if I could buy a German car, just because of the impression, rightly or wrongly, that you buy quality and something of a lasting value. So there's that differentiation that you get from a brand growing, developing over the years. And the brand also communicates benefits. You know, you buy a German car and you know you're buying quality, sturdiness, car that should last. But even more importantly, a brand develops through brand loyalty, an emotional attachment to that brand. Where people buy emotionally, like if I mentioned the example of Mercedes at one stage where the quality was not what it used to be. But that fact, excuse me, that fact would probably not override the emotion attached to Mercedes-Benz. So it is very important that we look at that as well, because emotions evoke a desire. Now, if we look at the New Life brand, if I heard correctly at our convention, we always say making the world a healthier and happier place. But that slogan is changing to we empower everyone to have a healthier and happier life. The element of empowering. And there again, it identifies the company as a company that cares, a company that wants to uplift people, empower people. A company whose mission is to make people healthier and happier, have better lives. And how New Life differentiates itself from other brands, for instance, is based in nature, backed by science, with a scientific advisory board. That uniqueness that separates New Life from other companies. And the benefit or benefits that the New Life brand brings is improved quality of life. That is a promise for the future. That is a promise we hold out to people. You join New Life and you can be healthier, can be happier in all spheres of your life. And that touches people's emotions, because just about everybody wants a better life. They've got needs, they've got wants, they've got dreams, things that drive them. And that's why it's important that we tap into people's emotions. And just on that point, we must realize that we all buy emotionally. And then after we've bought whatever we've bought, we rationalize why it was a good decision to buy that. Let's say I bought a German car. I could have had a different brand of car for much less. But emotionally, I'm attached to the idea of German cars. So I buy emotionally, but afterwards I rationalize and I say, yes, but this and this and this. So we must never forget that also when we present, that we don't so much focus on the features of the products and the features of the business. Super 10, this, and this, it's yellow, and it's this, and it's that, and the business, this and that, all the facts and the figures. People basically want to know, how will I benefit? How will I benefit when I use your products? In whatever way. How will I benefit? How will my life be better if I joined New Life? How would it be better for me to join with you and not with somebody else? See, that basic emotional need, emotional drive is what moves all of us. And we must never forget that. I remember for many, many years, when I was still more inexperienced than I am now, I used to sit down with people and immediately drew the circles and showed the percentages and what. And I've come to realize that that is not a good way to do it. We need to, and that's a teaching that we hear very often these days, first discover people's needs. That which comes from inside, that which would drive them. And then show them how we can fulfill that need. Build on that emotion, build on that inner thing that people have. And then later on, we can back it up with the facts and the figures. Now, the fact is that you and I, each of us, we are the brand ambassadors of New Life. We are the brand ambassadors of New Life. You see, other companies rely a lot on advertising, which New Life doesn't do, for good reasons. One, it is very, very, very costly to advertise, even in newspapers or in magazines, but even more so on TV. You see, not only the production cost of an advert is extremely high, but the airtime or viewing time you buy to advertise is very high as well. And it does no good to advertise once or twice. It's got to be repetitive, 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 until people so subconsciously start identifying with that brand. Now, that is very, very costly. Neolife doesn't go into spending that cost. Rather, Neolife invests that money into product research and development, which is one reason why we have better products than anybody else. To go with that, the cost of direct marketing like we do, where all the middlemen are cut out, also reduces the cost to the company. And that gain the company has is put back into the research and development and manufacturing of products that have no equal. I'm always skeptical about companies who advertise a lot, because I often think their product couldn't be that good, because if they have to spend that much on advertising, how good can the product be? And often that is the case. Now, another reason why the company doesn't advertise is because the products are not readily available. If they advertised on national media and people walked into a shop or a pharmacy and they say, well, I want this or I want that, and they can't get it, it would be a negative. So what happens in our case is that we offer people the opportunity of personal service, personal attention. You know, if you go into a pharmacy and they happen to sell nutritional supplements as well, and you see an array of omega-3s, and you ask the shop assistant which one is the best, they probably wouldn't be able to tell you. And that is an advantage we have, that through our way of marketing, the customer has to buy from us. They don't buy from the shop, which brings a cost factor into it. But there's also the chance of much better service to the customer. Now, our advertising is word of mouth, and that is very powerful. And especially these days, as it's boosted by social media, because now my voice can go all over through WhatsApp, or at least Facebook, or whatever I use. Now, that can go one of two ways. Word of mouth can be negative, or it can be positive. I remember there was a time some years ago when Amway came to South Africa. Now, Amway is the biggest network marketing company in the world. It's a reputable company. It's got good products. It definitely doesn't have the same quality as we have. We've got a better marketing plan. Our marketing plan pays sooner. But still, Amway is a good, respected company. But the people who brought Amway to South Africa somehow presented it in a way that for a long time afterwards, if you spoke to somebody and you wanted to interest them in, or finding out if they're interested in looking at our business, the response would be, as long as it's not Amway. So the word got out that, man, if it's Amway, you better steer away from that. So word of mouth can be very negative. See, if we cheat one person, they're probably going to tell 10 or 20 other people, you should never trust those Neolife people. If we do good and serve well, they might tell one or two or three others. Strangely enough, the negative has a stronger power than the positive. There's difference of opinion of how to negate a negative. Some say 5 positives to negate 1 negative. Some say even more. A child growing up with a lot of negatives, you've got to put in so many more positives to negate those negatives. That's just how it is. That's human nature. So we must be aware that we, as brand ambassadors for Neolife, in our mouth, in our communication, not just our mouth, our whole being, we project an image of new life, which is either positive, attracting, that people want to migrate to, or it could be one, oh, no, if it's new life, don't talk to me. I had that example the other day. I was approaching a lady who used to work at our church, and I know she needs a job. And I didn't tell her what I was going to talk to her about, but then eventually, with a follow-up call, she said to me, what is it? And I said, well, it's a company called Neolife. And her response was very abrupt. Well, then I'm not interested. So somewhere she got a negative impression of Neolife or our type of business. No, I left it at that. I wasn't going to argue with her. But the fact is that we project the image of the company. We are the brand ambassadors of the company. Now, ideally, we want to establish Neolife as a desired, trusted brand that becomes a household name. You know, in South Africa in the early years from 1971, when the company started here as Golden Products, there were only, I think, 4 or 5 cleaning products. That was it. The nutritional products only came later on. But today still, if you speak to somebody who 30, 40 years ago somehow used Golden Products, I've never found anybody who didn't agree that the products are quality. You see, Golden Products had that image of quality. And that is part of the image we need to help build Neolife, for Neolife. Now, Neolife these days gives us so much support in terms of material that we can download from back office, the trainings, everything that happens. But still, we are the people who go out into the field, out into the society, and bring the message, the good news of Neolife. And how we present it will either build the image of Neolife or not. Now, that brings us to the second part of branding, and that is our personal brand. My brand, your brand, within the Neolife brand. Because we are the ambassadors. How we present reflects on Neolife. Now, there are 2 sides to personal branding. The first is how we would like to be seen, how we want to develop our brand. We call that image management. An amusing example of that we all know well and that you all do very well, I'm always impressed when I look at you, is the one of dress for success. You know, that's an image management. We want to impress people. We want to make a good impression. Now, there's nothing wrong with that as such. The problem comes when we try to create an image, an outside image, which is not what we are on the inside. In other words, when the motives we appear to have clash with the ones we really have. I'm going to say that again. When the motives we really have clash with the ones we appear to have, or we want people to think we have. You see, the problem is we can't hide the truth. There's a saying, our inner life controls or is shown up in our outer life. In other words, if I'm deeply selfish, deeply, that's my main thing, me, mine, and my own. But I want to portray myself as being this selfless person, this caring person. I'm going to have a problem. Because the fact is that we cannot consistently act in a manner that violates our deep subconscious self-image and beliefs. I've spoken about that before. If what is ingrained in my self-image is that of basically a selfish person, and I now to project something different, I may succeed for a while, I may succeed now and then, but I can't keep it up. It's just too much effort. You know, I've seen that in people. I know some people who are basically grumpy people. You don't want to be around them. They always complain. They always criticize. They always condemn. It's always negative. And I've seen people like that from time to time trying to be nice. And then as long as they try to be nice, they actually are nice, but they can't keep it up. And that's a fact that we cannot escape. Our inner life determines our outer life. So what happens is our values, the purpose we see for ourselves in life, and our attitudes are going to determine our habits and our actions, which will determine the outcome. You know, I read something not too long ago. Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, said that your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. Your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. We can try and manage this image of positivity and friendliness and caring, but if that is not who we are deep within inside, people are going to notice that, and it's going to come out. And we may want people to see us in a certain way. We may hope for people to see us in a certain way. But the reality is people see us the way we are. We can't hide the truth. And that is why it is so important to realize that we need to manage our own personal brand. What is the image I portray? When people see me, do they see a grumpy, negative person or somebody friendly and open and welcoming? What are my values? And I want to, and I'm challenging myself to do this exercise again, and I want to invite you to do it as well. Go and sit down with a piece of paper and write down what are the things that you value. Not the things that you think you should value. We're dealing with ourselves. This is private. If I value money above everything else, that's it. That's how it is. That's what I write down. If I don't value people, I'm not going to write that down because that would be bluffing myself. I want you to sit down and make a list of everything that you really value. We value our families. We value our children. We could value our car or our house or whatever. That's all fine. But look at what are the things that are important to you. And the next thing is to look at your mission, your purpose. Ask yourself, why am I here on earth? What is my mission? What is my purpose in life? Is my purpose just to get rich and gain status and drive a nice car and, be the VIP? What is your real purpose? Now, whatever comes out, that is what is. Again, don't try and define your purpose according to what you think it should be. So your purpose, your mission in life, why are you here? And then it's a question of looking at the values of new life and measuring it up against, or measuring your own personal values against those. And if you find in any way a clash, if you find a disconnect, like the company stresses people are number one, but you find in yourself, well, for me, people are not number one, I'm number one. And I'll act selfishly whenever I can. You see, if you make that discovery about yourself, then obviously you can now go and make corrections and say, well, this is not who I should be. This is not who I ideally should be. Because the fact is that unless we as brand ambassadors of New Life are in alignment with the values of the company, we are always going to have an uphill battle in our own business, in our own life, and we are not going to portray New Life in the way we should. Now, let's just look at three of those. Firstly, absolute integrity. Now, let me just say something about the values. We all know the values. The company has 5 of them. I'm touching on the 3 that reaches us personally. And we use that as marketing material, as promotional material. We give lip service to it very often because it impresses people to hear these are our values. But it's one thing to express values. It's another thing to live the values. And that is where the disconnect could come. And let me just say this, that this is not something you sort out once in your life and now it's sorted out for the rest of your life. Because we come into new situations, different challenges, different demands on us. And now we must say, well, in this situation, which value is going to guide me? Because we are guided by values, whether it be good values or bad values, or indifferent values. We are guided by the values we hold. And that's why I'm challenging you to inspect the values that you hold. So if we look at the company's number 1 value, absolute integrity, I've heard that so often. And just in preparing for this session, it suddenly struck me the absolute part of it. I've always sort of had to focus on the integrity. But what does absolute mean? Absolute means complete, total, utter, no compromise. You see, you can't have half integrity. There's no such thing. It's like we sometimes joke at the expense of the ladies and say, you're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. You can't be half between pregnant and not pregnant. And that is so true when it comes to integrity. It must be absolute. Now, what is integrity? That is where your inner life and your outer life is aligned. Where you don't have this inner battle against what you believe and what you should believe. And what you actually are against what you should be. And that should be based on accepted values. Now, accepted values are values that is generally accepted as good, like honesty. That's generally accepted as a value to live by. Dishonesty, that's a value for some people. But very few people will say, well, that's an accepted value. You understand what I mean? So we need to be sure that the values we operate with and from are accepted, are the values that serve humankind, serve the community. And that our adherence to those should be absolute. There's an expression called situational ethics. You know, your ethics, the way you think and you act. Ethics, you could say, same as values. But I have situational ethics. If I'm in a different situation, a different set of ethics will apply. If I'm in that situation, I have other, you know, I have values, but if my values don't suit, I also have other values, you know, that sort of thing. Now, that is the exact opposite of absolute integrity. And you know, for myself, I must admit that to you, for myself, this is the biggest challenge in life, to live with absolute integrity. Next thing is people are number one. I've touched on that. And you say, Mike, you've spoken about this before. I know. This is a follow-up. We need to keep reminding ourselves about these. Because like the company values, we all know them. We can all tell people about them. But have we internalized them? Is that how we live? Or is this just how we talk? Now, we talk people number one. But do we treat people number one? You know, apart from moral teaching about this, which I'm not going to touch on again, there's a lot of moral teaching about loving your neighbor like yourself, etc. But apart from the moral teaching, this is what success in network marketing is based on. Success in network marketing is based on treating people number one. Why? You all know that. We go up to the extent that we have other people going up under us. And the more people that go up under us, the higher we can go. That is how network marketing works. Now, it blows my mind that there are distributors who seem to not understand this. Well, they may understand it, but they just don't accept the truth, because in reality, they treat people like their possessions. Like those people are there for them and not we are there for the people. They're willing to cheat, to even steal from people, to lie to people. How on earth can, and I've seen that even highly educated people from whom you might not expect that, treat people in a way that, well, there can be, be no, excuse me, no long-term relationship developed. And that is where the third value comes in that I want to just remind you of, having a long-range vision. That means not doing things just for benefiting now, but that will harm your business for the long term. You know, the fact is, earning top dollars in any endeavor, whether it's in the corporate world or wherever you go, even also in our kind of business, that doesn't come in the beginning. That doesn't even come in the medium term. It comes in the longer term. All the upper benefits are not short-term benefits. Now, if we do anything in the short term that harms the business, our business, we might miss the long-term benefits. If we as brand ambassadors of New Life do things in the short term that harms the business, it will harm us, and it will make the business unattractive for other people. And you know, that is so serious, because that means we actually rob people of a better future, potentially of a better future. Whenever we mess up, we could rob other people of a better future. And that's criminal when we do that. So I keep wanting to stress this because, excuse me, I know this is something that we all have to deal with, including myself, because we all have one thing in common. We all have in common human nature. And human nature is broken. Human nature pulls us towards the negative. And we've got to be aware of that and fight against that. If I just now get into a situation where I'm talking to somebody and I'm looking for the right word, I'm thinking, how can I bamboozle this person? I must remind myself, no, I've got to be honest with this person. You see, it's a situational thing from moment to moment. If I come home and I'm tired, how am I going to treat my family? Am I going to be nasty or grumpy? It's something that we have to deal with on an ongoing basis. Now, again, you may say, Mike, you talk about this so often. I do, because you remember I said to you that skills are only 20% part of our success. Character is the other 80% part. Now, the thing with skills is that's easy to learn because we can learn skills just by practicing. But we can't learn character building that easily, because that's a thing that we've got to work on all the time. So I wanted to maybe end off this range of sessions by just talking about this again. And I do it because it also reminds myself of my role as a brand ambassador for New Life. It reminds me that I've got to look at my values and to rethink my purpose in life, and to realize that I, just like you, have been put on earth for more than just ourselves. We are not here just to survive or perhaps become successful. We've got to grow to a situation of significance where we can make a significant difference in the lives of other people. And I think it was Mother Teresa who said, we can't all do big things, but we can do small things with love. And with love and caring and reaching out to people, we could change people's lives one at a time. And through them, eventually we could, by the end of our lives, have reached uncountable number of people and made this world a better place. You see, that's a purpose bigger than ourselves. And we must always realize in New Life, we are in something bigger than ourselves. We're busy with something bigger than ourselves, bigger than our own self-interest, our self-advancement, our self-enrichment. The fact is, the more we help other people succeed and have what they want, the more we will have what we want. You know that, I know that, but do we live that? You know, you guys in Kenya and Uganda are very dear to me because I've been with you since 1996. Well, the old timers at least. Some of the newer people we may not even have met. But you have a very special place in my heart. And my dream for you and for us as Neolife in East Africa, that includes our friends and family in Tanzania and the surrounding countries, is that we really succeed in making Neolife great, in making Neolife a desired brand, making Neolife a brand that people aspire to, that people want to be part of. And in that way, you and I can, and that's part of my dream for you also, that you personally not just go to the top, but over the top in terms of going beyond your wildest dreams. You know, I care and I love you, care about you and I love you, like a father with his children and grandchildren. And I want to see the best for you. And that's why you might say, I keep nagging at you about things like this. It's not because I want to nag or want to push you. I want the best for you as for myself and my family. So that's my dream, that Neolife be absolutely the gold standard, and that nobody else would even look at anything else but Neolife because of us. So, Paul, thank you for this opportunity. We can try and record this with the visuals. It might come across a bit differently. We'll see how we can manage that. But in the meantime, I want to say I'm so happy to have had this moment of sharing with you. It is very valuable to me. The only thing that I'm sorry about is that it can't be in person, where I can see you and touch you and talk to you. Hopefully, God willing, soon next year, the opportunity will come. In the meantime, you know, this business is hard. Next month, we've got to travel to Barcelona. You know, the company makes it difficult for us. Joking, of course. So next month will be Barcelona, and then we're getting to the end of the year. So I really look forward to being with you soon in the new year. So in the meantime, go well, and thank you, and God bless.
Thank you so much, Mike, for that session, which is helping us to be able to understand personal branding and also the company branding and positioning the company in the right way. There is no better way to put it than you have done. And I believe the directors on the call today, they'll be able to take time to reflect on those wise and kind words so that we can be able to build such a big opportunity as it is and continue to have it for the longest in our countries and place where we are represented, because it helps us to build what we call the residual income. And if we don't brand it well, then we'll be able to, it's easy to be able to lose that part of, passing it to our children and working for us when we are not able to work. So that's an amazing session. Would really love to see the visual. I'm sure you had taken a lot of time to be able to prepare some slides. We'll be able to record, as you have said, and then we can be able to share it with our distributors. And I believe once we receive it, we'll be able to share it with our downlines. It will be part of our training so that we can make it easy for us to be able to build this business everywhere. You know, sometimes we go to some places and just like Mike has said, we mentioned the word New Life and somebody's like, oh, I mean, how did you even mention that name? And I wonder, what did somebody do to somebody to be able to get to that level of negativity? So it's us as the leaders that we are supposed to be, the ambassadors of the company and make sure the people that we are bringing in the business, they also understand how to position the business in a good way. So We really appreciate. We were at one point we were 71 of us on the call. And I think if we multiply that in terms of teaching, in a few months, we'll be able to have a very good environment to continue to build our business. So I want to thank all the leaders on the call. I've been able to see a number of president team members and world team members on the call together with all the directors. Thank you so much for coming. We're nearing the end of the month. Let's keep on pushing our business. The best way is to look at what goals and targets did you put in place at the beginning of the month. How far are you to reach them? And help your people as well to be able to do the same. And you'll find your business, closing at a very good note by the end of the month. So we want to thank you. There are a few things that are coming in the next month. We have our senior manager schools. I'm sure you have been able to see the flyers. Please work with your senior managers to be able to qualify to attend. We also have Charlie. We are going to host Charlie and the band in Kenya between the 22nd and 23rd of October. So that's another meeting that we need to have in our minds as Kenyans. And people who are in other countries, if you have distributors in Kenya, please encourage them to come to that event. The other thing that I just want to, it has come to our attention. There's a price review, which is coming to us on the 15th of October. We're now printing the price list, and hopefully by next week, we'll be having the hard copies in our DC so that you can start the transition. But one thing I loved about the notification that we received for the product, it is said, it's price review and also a BV review, because and that means your money is increasing. So I think this is the only organization whereby prices increase, but on the same breath, people benefit. In all the other price increases, we have seen petrol and all that increasing. It is actually the opposite. It is, it brings another economic situation in our lives. But, let's position it well. It's a price review, not increase, whereby also our BVs are going to be reviewed as well. So thank you so much for finding time to be on this call today. I know Mike will be able to prepare one or two other sessions before the close of the year so that we can continue to benefit. So thank you from me and Mike. Thank you. God bless you. Have a lovely Friday and a weekend ahead. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Paul. Bye.
Bye.